When everything around you feels loud, demanding, and distracting, the greatest decision you can make is to turn inward and focus on yourself. That's not selfish. That's survival. That's growth. Because the truth is, no one else is going to build your life for you. No one else is going to hand you success, peace, or purpose. These are things you create brick by brick, choice by choice, by turning your energy inward and choosing to improve from the inside out. You can't change your life by constantly watching what others are doing. You can't measure your progress by someone else's path. Your journey is unique, and the moment you start pouring energy into yourself instead of chasing validation, comparing timelines, or pleasing everyone else, that's the moment everything begins to shift. Focusing on yourself means having the courage to admit where you're falling short and doing something about it. It means cutting off the noise and giving yourself the space to grow mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's about setting boundaries, not to shut people out, but to protect the person you are becoming. It's about showing up every single day, not perfectly, but intentionally. Every time you choose to read, learn, train, work, heal, or reflect, you're investing in your future. You're planting seeds that will one day grow into results that others will call luck. But deep down, you'll know it wasn't luck. You'll know it was focus. You'll know it was the hours you spent working on your mindset, improving your habits, and doing the work when no one was watching. Focusing on yourself is hard because it requires honesty. It forces you to confront your patterns, your excuses, your fears. But it's also the most empowering thing you will ever do. There are people who will misunderstand your journey. They will say you've changed. Good. That means the work is working. Because the goal is not to stay the same. The goal is to evolve, to level up, to grow into the highest version of yourself. You weren't meant to stay stuck in the same cycles, the same mindset, the same results. You were meant to expand. Focusing on yourself is not a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle. It's a daily decision to stop running from your potential. It's waking up with purpose, even when you're tired. It's training your mind to rise above distractions and your heart to rise above doubt. It's being your own biggest supporter when no one else claps for you. It's becoming so solid in who you are that you no longer chase people, things, or moments to feel whole. Every step you take to invest in yourself compounds over time. Your growth may be invisible today, but one day it will be undeniable. And when that day comes, you won't have to explain yourself to anyone. The results will speak loud enough. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start with what you have, where you are. Build the life you keep imagining by focusing on the only person you can control, yourself. Get clear on what matters to you. Set your goals. Take the next step and then the next. The power is already in your hands. Don't waste another day giving it away. Focusing on yourself is not a sign of arrogance or self-centeredness. It's an act of responsibility, a declaration that your life, your growth, and your well-being matter. In a world that constantly demands your attention, energy, and validation, choosing to prioritize yourself can feel radical. But it's one of the most powerful choices you will ever make. When you focus on yourself, you're not turning your back on others. You're turning inward to strengthen the very foundation that supports everything you do and everyone you care about. Personal growth doesn't happen. It requires intention, space, and deep awareness. You cannot pour into others when you're empty. You cannot lead, create, build, or inspire from a place of depletion. That's why focusing on yourself is not just important, it's non-negotiable. It's the decision to take ownership of your time, your thoughts, your energy, and your habits. It's the quiet commitment to becoming someone you're proud of when no one is watching. The world often rewards outward productivity. It claps for busyness and noise. But personal transformation begins in silence. It grows in solitude. It matures when you take time to examine who you are, what you believe, and what kind of life you're really building. When you focus on yourself, you slow down the chaos and begin to notice the patterns that have been running your life. You stop living on autopilot. You start asking better questions. And most importantly, you start listening to the answers that come from within. Growth isn't always glamorous. It's not always about breakthroughs and aha moments. Sometimes it's about sitting with your discomfort long enough to understand it. It's about taking responsibility for your reactions instead of blaming others. It's about admitting where you've been hiding, where you've settled, and where you've given up on yourself. Focusing on yourself means you stop running and start facing. It means you stop pretending and start evolving. There's a version of you that's possible, but not guaranteed. That version only emerges when you get serious about your internal world, when you stop seeking distractions and start doing the hard work of reflection, healing, and intentional growth. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up for yourself even on the days you don't feel like it. It's about choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. The truth is, no one is going to come and save you. No one is going to do the work for you. Waiting for the right time, the perfect opportunity, or someone else's permission is a trap. Focusing on yourself is the way out. It's the realization that your future is your responsibility, that your habits shape your destiny, that the life you want won't magically arrive. It must be built brick by brick, decision by decision. This kind of focus doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean you cut yourself off from people or lose your compassion. In fact, the more you grow, the more you have to give. The stronger your foundation, the more stable your presence becomes. You become someone who can handle challenges, guide others, and lead with clarity. Not because you're pretending to be perfect, but because you've done the inner work to be solid. The process is never linear. You'll take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. You'll have days where doubt creeps in. You'll be tempted to fall back into distractions, comparisons, and comfort zones. But the key is to keep returning to yourself. Keep choosing growth over stagnation. Keep choosing clarity over confusion. Keep choosing action over excuses. With each choice, you strengthen your focus. With each step, you move closer to who you're meant to be. Focusing on yourself is how you break generational cycles. It's how you rewrite your story. It's how you stop living in reaction and start living with intention. Start living with intention. It's how you build the mindset, the discipline, and the habits that create a meaningful life. It's not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice, a commitment to stop chasing external validation and start honoring your own journey. You don't need to justify your growth. You don't need to explain your healing. You don't owe the world your exhaustion. You owe yourself your full attention. Because the moment you shift your focus inward is the moment you begin to take your power back. And when that happens, everything starts to change. Growth demands energy. Energy demands focus, and focus demands that you turn inward and take full ownership of your life. This is where real transformation begins. Not in pleasing others, not in proving your worth, but in reclaiming it. In deciding that you are worth the effort, worth the discipline, and worth the fight. So no, focusing on yourself is not selfish. It's one of the most selfless things you can do. Because when you become your best self, you bring your best to everything and everyone around you. You live more fully. You love more deeply. You give more freely. But it all starts with the decision to stop running from yourself and start running toward the person you are capable of becoming. Growth is an internal journey. It's personal, raw, and real. But the moment you start comparing yourself to others, that growth becomes distorted. It becomes less about who you are becoming and more about how you're measuring up. The second your eyes drift from your own path to someone else's, you trade purpose for pressure. You trade progress for insecurity. And that's when your growth begins to stall, not because you're incapable, but because you've allowed someone else's story to distract you from your own. Comparison is a thief, and it doesn't just steal your joy, it steals your direction. It causes you to question everything you once felt sure about. You start second-guessing your pace, your choices, your dreams. You wonder if you're behind, if you're missing something, if you're not enough. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop growing. Not because you've stopped trying, but because you're trying to grow into someone else's definition of success. The world is loud with images and noise of what achievement should look like. Social media magnifies the highlights and filters the failures. You see the wins, the followers, the celebrations, the luxury, the milestones. But what you don't see is the struggle, the doubt, the sacrifices, and the dark moments behind the scenes. So you compare your real life to someone else's curated version of theirs, and you feel like you're losing a race you were never meant to run in the first place. The truth is, comparison is a distraction disguised as inspiration. It convinces you that if you just had what they had, you'd be happier. It whispers that you're not doing enough, not achieving fast enough, not rising high enough. But that voice is lying, because growth isn't about being ahead of anyone. It's about being better than you were yesterday. You grow when you stop competing and start committing. You grow when you stop rushing and start listening. You grow when you give yourself permission to move at your own pace, to bloom in your own season.